Welcome to this episode of Relationships Turned On. Today we're talking about the 15 signs that you could be headed for divorce. The reason for this episode is because a lot of the times most people think their relationship is okay or that things aren't that bad until all of a sudden it's upon them and they're shocked, they're outraged, and they're just rattled as to how they could be this close to divorce or how the other person could be thinking about it or even talking about it when it seems to be completely new news to them. So this episode is not just if you think you're heading towards divorce, it's to make sure that you don't go there or almost weigh your relationship up against this episode to see what signs you might have that your relationship is heading towards divorce and maybe what you can do about them and where you should start, because that's very, very important. So number one, you feel more like roommates than partners. I hear this all of the time. We're in different bedrooms. We don't have intimacy. We basically coexist. We're basically flatmates. We basically just, maybe we'll talk about the kids, logistics, things like that. That's it. We don't have any personal conversation. We don't have any real connection. And there's no affection or intimacy at all. That is sign number one. Sign number two is constant criticism and contempt. Now, often negative interactions outweigh the positive ones. So there's more blame, there's more sarcasm, there's more eye rolling than kindness and respect. If that is happening in your relationship, that is a huge sign that you must take action and do something. Okay, I will go through the things that we can do around some of these things after I go through the 15 signs that something could be not right in your relationship or you could be heading towards divorce. So number three, frequent and unresolved arguments. This is a big one. The more this happens, the more they stack, and the more there's no resolution, the more the slow burn kind of kills your relationship. And so most couples it sneaks up on. They think they have time. They think they'll fix it. They'll fix it when they're not as busy, when blah, blah, blah. It never happens. There's no perfect time to fix it. It's important to do it ASAP. Otherwise, it takes twice as long. So the sooner you can get in and get support and get help, the better. Number four, you're avoiding spending time together. One or both of you prefer to be anywhere but with one another. Work, hobbies, or even scrolling are better options than spending time together. If you are not longer spending time together, obviously it's hard to get the physical connection, the emotional connection, quality time, the communication. So if you're starting to avoid spending time together, that's a big, big, big flag that you should do something about your relationship. Get some support. Number five, a lack of physical intimacy. Similar to feeling like roommates, as in there's just not even touch, right? There's no affection, even in the kitchen. It's just absolutely non-existent. No one's making an effort, or one of us not making an effort at all. Number six, emotional disconnection. If you can think in your relationship what it was like in the start to what it's like now, and think about, do you currently share your thoughts, your feelings, your daily experiences, or not? If we're not sharing those things, we can't support each other. If we're not sharing those things, we can't have emotional connection or emotional intimacy. It's important to share those things. It's not just nice to have. It's a strong, big part of connection that's essential. And I see couples like this all of the time. They only talk about logistics. They only talk about what they have to talk about and nothing further. It's a sad way to live, if I'm honest, because where do you get that emotional support? Where do you get your emotional connection? I mean, your home is supposed to be your safe haven. It's supposed to be you and your partner against the world, not you two against each other. It's supposed to be you two setting the example for your children so they have healthy relationship habits. And if these things aren't happening, they are absorbing lots of beliefs and thoughts around relationships that they will continue to perpetuate. So it doesn't just affect you and your partner, it affects your children if you have them as well. So it's very important that emotional disconnection doesn't just impact you and your partner. And I think often we think it is, and we think, oh, we're hiding it from our children. Even if your kids are young, they sense it. They sense something's wrong, something's off, and it affects the whole household. You can't hide it. It's just not a thing. Number seven, fantasizing about life without your partner. This is huge. If you often imagine what it's like to be single with someone else and the idea feels like a relief, there is something critically wrong with the relationship that needs fixing, attending to ASAP. There's no other way to say that one. 8, there's no trust left. Now, look, lies, secrecy, betrayals, big or small, have eroded the trust and the foundation of your relationship, making it hard to feel secure. Now, yes, you can build back trust, something I get asked all of the time. You both have to want to build back trust, and if you will both want to, then you can. And I know that sounds overly simplistic. Clearly there's steps to it, there's a lot of feelings to it, there's a lot of processes to work through, but you definitely can do that. And also often not too many couples do it on their own that successfully. It really often requires support because it's such a big topic, right? It's a huge topic. 9, One or both have you emotionally checked out. So whether you're together, it feels like your partner isn't really present, or vice versa. If you don't feel like you're giving presents to each other, then your partner will not feel important, respected, appreciated, all those things. You have to be present when you're with one another. 10. Now, many, many, many sessions on number 10, prioritizing everything else over the relationship. If this is you, if you are prioritizing every single thing over the relationship, you are in big trouble. Again, the other person doesn't feel important, appreciated, like you're their number one. Work, kids, friends, hobbies come first, and there's little left to nurture the relationship, or there's little effort in nurturing the relationship. You have to nurture the relationship. You have to put time in it. There's no two ways about it. There's no shortcut. There's no outsourcing this. Like, you have to do it, right? And so if you're not prioritizing the relationship will most likely die. I know it sounds really cutthroat, but it's true. You have to prioritize and nurture the relationship. 11, avoiding difficult conversations. Now, if I had a nickel, if I had a dime, honestly, difficult conversations, yes, they suck. Yes, they're hard. Yes, no one wants to do them. However, the only way through them is through. And once you're through them, on the other side of that is usually a whole lot more connection, especially if you both feel heard and understood and you've resolved it. On the other side of that is more connection, more emotional intimacy, and you know that you can tackle these things as a couple, which builds strength, which builds a stronger and stronger foundation every single time you do it. And then you don't have to do it around the same topics usually, right? So it's very, very important, that one. 12, different visions for the future. I have been in sessions where couples want to live in different locations, do and don't want kids, do and don't want marriage, financial issues, lifestyle goals, or different issues. Like, having aligned visions for the future keeps you moving on the same trajectory, moving towards the same goals, having common shared things in place to build the ideal life that you're after. When you don't have this, it can be very challenging because you're often both moving in different directions, almost working not against each other, but just in different directions. And so it can be hard. So talking about this, getting aligned with this, figuring out what that looks like. Yes, you can do it even if you've got different views on it, is very important. Number 13, you feel happier alone. When you feel more like yourself, lighter, or even relieved when you're not with your partner, that should tell you something. And that's important to look at and figure out why and explore so you can do something about that one. 14, lack of effort or willingness to fix this. One or both of you have stopped trying, or there's no interest in therapy, communication, or making things better. Clearly, things are not going to get better from this perspective, right? You have to do something different. You have to get support, or you have to be willing to try and fix these things, and maybe even step out of your comfort zone a little to do so. 15, someone has already checked out or wants out. If one partner is seriously considering leaving or has mentioned divorce, it's a strong sign that things need urgent attention. Now, the reason I bring these all up is because most of the times we think it'll pass, it'll be okay, they'll stay for the kids, they'll stay for this, that, the other. I talk to a lot of people who are devastated and want their relationship back and wish to go to counseling with their partner once they've already asked for a divorce, once it's already over. It's really hard to come back from that point. And so it's important. Think about all these signs that I've just said. How many of these signs does your relationship exhibit? How many? I would love to know, because it's very important that you take this seriously, that you look at these signs and what can you do from this? Here's what you can do. There's lots of things you can do, right? But what you should do is be able to have an honest conversation with your partner about where you both are, what you're both feeling, and what you should do to fix this. If you can't feel like you're capable of having that conversation, then there's no two ways about it. Book in for counseling and get started so someone can help you have that conversation. And if you don't know how to fix it, and let's be real, let's be honest, if your same pattern's repeating all the time, which often it is, the chances are high you won't be able to fix it on yourself. And I don't say that to be, I'd love for you to be able to fix it on yourself. But often couples have stayed in this pattern for so long. And if any of those signs are showing, there are big things happening, right? So if that is you, then go and get support. Go and get help ASAP. Look, I offer a free call, a relationship reconnect call via Zoom. You can go to the link below and book that. Don't wait. Couples on average wait 6 to 7 years, according to the research, to get support. 6 or 7 years of feeling like roommates, of pain, of hurt, of disconnect. Do it now so you can shortcut this process. Do it now so you don't have to live in pain and misery. Like, to be honest, don't see the point in living in any pain and misery. So much you can do to get your relationship back on track. Also, if you want to save your relationship in 72 hours, go below. You can have a look at my couples counseling retreat. It's amazing, and I'm so excited to be running it. There's only 3 spots left. It is such an amazing, relaxing, connected, beautiful experience where you learn amazing relationship skills. You work through some of the challenges. You also get private accommodation. You have hot croissants delivered to your room every morning. You're basically very well looked after and pampered, as well as moving your relationship forward to create a rock solid, unshakable foundation. So you can go below and check those details. And, same with that as well. Let's book a call and just have a chat and see if it's the right fit for you. Because what we want to do is put the right plan in place to move your relationship forward. And it can be done. Even if you feel like your relationship is on the rocks, is on the brink, you can get it back. You really can. So let's have a chat about it. Thank you so much for listening. I would love to hear below what is your main takeaway from this episode. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit subscribe because every week there's a new episode coming out. If you're listening on podcast, hit subscribe, hit follow so you can get notifications for new episodes. Again, new episodes every single week. And I really appreciate every single listener because this is why I do what I do, to help you have an epic turned on relationship. So thank you for listening.